This whole concept that we have to work for basic needs and die working for basic needs, I think it's a brainwashing. I think it's a successful campaign to let people enjoy being slaves. When I was younger, I always had this thing where I wanted to change the world, and there was this abstract concept, right? When you hear somebody say change the world, what do you mean change the world? Like, what specifically in the world do you look at and you're like, I think we should change that. I don't think that's how it should be. For me, it's always been, tied to this idea of basic needs: food, shelter, energy, and knowledge. For me, I think those things are the bedrock for a lot of other things, and the lack of these basic needs leads to a lot of different problems. It really makes me inspired to work on Poly 96 because I genuinely believe that I want to help people who don't have these things. I believe that people having just basic needs for free would help humanity get to the next level. To be honest with you, I don't see how anyone can argue against that. A lot of people will say things like, oh, I think giving people basic needs for free will make them lazy. And I always want to point them out to like UBI studies, studies in which people were given a stipend a month, let's say $1,000 a month, and what they did with that, that extra income probably allowed them to quit their jobs and do something else that they wanted to do and produce something that society actually needed. This whole concept that we have to work for basic needs and die working for basic needs, I think it's a brainwashing. I think it's a successful campaign to let people enjoy being slaves. We can automate the production of basic needs and automate the distribution of that so that everybody can have that. If you want to argue with me about this in the comment section, please, put it below. Meet me in Discord, meet me in Clubhouse. I'd love to have a discussion about this, about legitimate, factual, scientific-based reasons on why we shouldn't give people free basic needs. I genuinely don't understand how anybody can support being a slave to the pursuit of satisfying your basic needs. It's like somebody saying, from now on, you will pay me for oxygen. You need oxygen to survive, don't you? You also need food and water and a place to stay and education to be able to survive, especially in this mode of reality. So, if you don't think you should pay for oxygen, what makes you think you should pay for food? It's a lot more work to produce food because you have to plant it, you have to harvest it, you have to do all these things for that. But I also see in the future that technology is changing that. So we have to be able to imagine a future in which we want. And what kind of future do you want, right? Do you want a future in which you perpetually have to work for food and energy and shelter, even if the production of that has been automated? Imagine that the amount of effort that goes into producing food is automated, like no one has to do that anymore. But I still charge you an exorbitant amount of money to be able to provide you that same basic need. Are you going to be happy about that? And how about this? If you're not able to pay for that basic need, if you're not able to feed yourself, your family, your kids, your mom, your aging dad, if you're not able to feed them, then I won't give you food because you obviously can't pay for it. And that means that you would be homeless, you would be hungry, and your people would die of hunger. And those are states of existing that I wouldn't want to be in, because that's a tremendous amount of suffering, because we're not willing to accept nor visualize a future in which people don't have to work for these things, in which automation has taken care of these things. I'm really passionate about people not going without basic needs because for a part of my life, I didn't have a steady amount of basic needs, such as food, for example. I didn't feel like I could be able to stay anywhere, for example. So for me, it's more personal. And I don't know how people can be like, oh, don't take this mission so personally. As much as I want to be detached and be this scientific kind of person who looks at the data and the facts, at the end of the day, it's a human thing. Like, I personally don't want to starve again. Do you? Do you want to starve again for the rest of your life? Yeah, your life would be short at that point, wouldn't it? But the point still stands. I'll kind of wrap this video up by thanking you for A, listening to my ramble, B, coming back and watching me, and C, foreshadowing that there's a lot more that I want to talk about. We can talk about a little bit more philosophy and travel, because I'm in Thailand and I'm traveling. I can show you some different parts of Thailand, especially during COVID-19. So maybe I'll make some of those clickbait videos. But for the bulk of the videos I want to make, it's this aspect of me exploring what I believe, exploring how I could have loopholes in that, and talking to you and having you give me a perspective that maybe challenges mine, and with sufficient data I can update my reality model, because that's how you learn, that's how you grow. It's during discourse. So with that being said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.